All right, we are going to get into this. This is like easily the most disliked gacha video of 2025. I actually couldn't see the dislikes until I turned on my dislike extension, and I had no idea. I've never seen this channel before. Maybe I have seen it, but I had no idea this had 4.5k dislikes, and I'm someone who's gonna shoot it to you straight, right? I can say I'm not gonna try the game, it's not for me, but I will always be fair, right? So like even in Imtaj's review, like I see his side, I understand his perspective, but I don't necessarily agree with everything, right? And I'm not necessarily playing DNA. However, I will say my boy Bright Knight has been popping off. He's definitely been getting in the algorithm with DNA, so he's making great content over here. So if you were playing DNA, I highly recommend his channel. But let's see what this guy's talking about. Apparently this is one of the worst takes in gacha gaming history, so let's see.
I don't think it's all that impressive. The game boasts one of the first mobile games that was formerly a gacha but transitioned to a gacha-less model afterwards, with the incentives that it's a game that respects your time and no fear of missing out in its mechanics. It certainly sounds a bit too good to be true, and let's be real here. It is. Hi, my name is Psyche, and I'll be breaking down each of DNA's features and let you know what I think if it's good or bad for the future of gacha games. However, despite all of what was promised, the thing I think DNA will struggle with the most is something more ingrained in its design, and not actually related to the monetization or farming mechanics. So today I have a lot to say about this potential future giant indie gacha gaming space. Let's get right down to it. First, there's something I would like to address. Duet Night Abyss is certainly taking gacha game graphics to the next level. Since it's developed on Unreal Engine, you can expect performance to be a bit hit or miss. This game is also teetering on what mobile phones can handle. I will not be commenting on the performance for the remainder of the review, but to my knowledge, it suffers from occasional performance issues on certain PCs at the moment, and I shudder to think what those playing on a phone will be like. Now, I don't do any of—
I mean, I don't know what the performance is like in terms of like the game now, so I'm sure someone can let me know down in the comment section, but I do know that I know fucking Wuthering Waves is rough on on mobile. I fucking suck at Zenless on mobile. Like I don't know how people play fucking mobile. That shit is terrible. It just feels so awkward. It's weird because right, like these are mobile games, but some of them just don't really perform well on mobile unless they're like turn-based or some shit. And we do have another video coming out probably later today with Chaos Zero Nightmare, my brutally honest review. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's a fair take. Sure, I don't know personally what the performance is like. Maybe it is straight ass. I do know online, like being able to be in parties and stuff was terrible. That was absolutely horrible day one. So as far as like it not being able to perform on your PC and you have like an optimized PC is crazy. But you know, it's not the first game. It's not the first quote unquote mobile game to do that.
The technical side and do any benchmarking here, but I did run a quick test on my own phone to see what it's like. And the question you might ask is, what the hell are you running the game on to get it this smooth? Well, it can be none other than the Red Magic 11 Pro, which also happens to be the sponsor of this video.
This motherfucker hit me with the sponsor. Stop it.
Duet Night Abyss is developed by Pan Studio and published by Hero Games, which to my understanding are relatively small in scale, and this game must have taken a pretty big cut out of their budget. Anyways, after a lengthy campaign of over 2 years, the game is finally out. What was supposed to be a game that had the traditional approach of a stamina system and gacha banners has changed to something we've never seen before. I guess we'll start with an overview of the game. I read the story when I was playing during its first closed beta test, and I thought it was pretty good. The game features a dual narrative approach, so the two protagonists are not just versions or alter egos of each other, but rather completely different people with their backstories. It's also pretty refreshing to see a gacha protagonist not have the typical amnesia trait, where they're a blank slate. It's definitely one of the better gacha game stories I've gone through, well, in terms of 3D gachas at least. I think some of the facial animations still look a little bit off for the NPCs, but for the most part, the presentation is fine. They're probably pretty proud of that intro fight scene. I would like to also give a quick shout out to the music. The track variety is impeccable and are all beautifully composed. Sometimes takes a page straight out of Nier Automata, which happens to feature my favorite video game soundtrack of all time. As for the gameplay, you can only—
Wait. What part did people dislike? Was it the beginning or because he's doing the classic glaze the game before you like tear it down? Because you know people don't have that much attention span, so they're more than likely gonna click off like right here because that is a log video. So if he does okay, right here he pops off apparently. So we'll see.
On field one character at a time, but I suppose the game was trying to go for a more co-op approach in the late game with different roles like support, DPS, and healers. You can equip one melee and ranged weapon, all with their different variations. Worth mentioning that every character can use every weapon, though the element the weapon attacks are infused with will still match the character's element. When you use left click, you swing the weapon, and holding right click fires the gun. There's all sorts of moves and combos you can do, like attacks right after a slide, when slamming down, when holding, or pressing attack repeatedly. You have a dodge move to evade enemy attacks, a slide to initiate a helix leap, though I struggle to see why you would ever use the slide by itself. You have a shield meter above your health, and an energy gauge to use your skill or ult attack.
I don't know why I hate the Warframe slide jump animation. I hate that animation. That spinning animation, I hate that. It like triggers me. I don't know. I just think it's a very ugly animation. But I can totally understand if you play, you know, if you enjoy the game, there's nothing wrong with that. If you enjoy the game, nothing wrong with that. I will say though, like the thing for me is like I've recently played First Descendant and stuff, right? So it is very, very similar to that game. And I'd say First Descendant is probably even way more gooner than like Duet Night Abyss, I'll be honest. You know, and I've had that experience, and it's just too similar of an experience for me to invest into, right? But we'll get more into that later.
I found most of the content in the game to be pretty easy. As long as you level everyone to an acceptable range, you can just spam left click to get through it. There's some miscellaneous activities you can do in the overworld, like fishing, shooting.
It's the same thing Imtash said. You can just hit spam left click even against enemies that are 20 levels higher than you.
Mini games and catching Genimon. I didn't really get too deep into it, but some of the Genimon can have some unique effects, like picking up enemy drops at a longer range. When you're not doing co-op, you can set 2 other AI companions to fight alongside you, but co-op content will take one of those AI slots away for every extra player. I should also mention that DNA is not marketed as an open world game, but rather an RPG with open world elements. You can't really do a lot of crazy things out in the wild, though sometimes you'll come across hidden chests and minigames. Just don't count on exploration being a big part of your experience here. There's also the impression system, where you have a list of 6 personality traits, and choosing certain dialogue will increase one. When you perform a check, you roll a dice. The higher that stat, the higher the chance to succeed. I don't really think this matters all that much, and you can also just create the dice currency in the forging menu, so you can just keep trying again. But anyways, enough about the gameplay, let's talk about the main attraction. So, one of Duet Night Abyss's main attractions is the promise of a no stamina system, respecting the player's time, they said. You can farm whenever you want. Is all of that actually true? Let's see. Heading into the combat tab, you'll access many different commission types to complete for loot drops. All sorts of goodies can be farmed here, such as XP for your characters or weapons, demon wedges as the relic system for set bonuses, ascension material, and wins to farm for new characters and weapons. You can do these alone or in co-op, and some will take longer than others. In theory, if you wanted to max out a character, you can just grind for hours and you'll be able to achieve just that. So, the lack of stamina is a good thing, right? Well, in my opinion, not really. When you do a normal commission, you can use a booster to increase the drop rate of rewards for that run, with some of the better boosters netting you up to 20 times the rewards. The problem is that you have to buy these with premium currency. While you can make the argument that this is still better than having a stamina system, since you can just farm whenever you want, you also have to come to terms that someone that's willing to pay a little extra will progress faster than you, even though you both put in the same amount of effort. Whether this bothers you...
That's always going to happen regardless. That's always... When there's monetary... when there's monetization involved, that's always going to happen. They're always going to progress faster than you. That's just how it works. He's got to come to terms with that.
It is purely subjective. No stamina system also means that you don't get player XP from just completing commissions. You can check what activities give player XP, but since the better commissions drop mats at a higher rate, you want to raise that level quick. Also, one extra kudos I gotta give is that the game lets you equip the same demon wedge on multiple characters or weapons. So, since you're gonna need like 20 of these per character, that's at least one less thing to worry about. I'm going to talk about my thoughts on the character and weapon system now. You have to get the secret letter currency, then buy the secret letter of the character or weapon, then run the covert commission for the chance for their shard to drop. I'm not going to explain all of it in detail again since I did it in the sponsored video. Anyways, 30 of it equals 1 copy of them. In short, I think the system is good, but not as good as you think. First, I'd like to point out that you can skip the grind with a premium currency. This will cost you around $50 with some leftover, assuming you have the first top-up bonus. Do I have a problem that you can skip the grind with real money? No, not really. If you consider that if you were to try using top-up packs to guarantee a 5-star in a conventional gacha game, you're likely gonna have to spend upwards of a couple $100. So $50 in that context, not so much anymore. However, you also have to keep in mind that each character has 6 dupe levels, and they all require 30 shards each. Because the shards are earnable in-game, this gives the devs and dedicated players room to make the dupe levels drastic increases to the character's...
Okay, I don't play this game. Is 54% crit chance not insane? Is that not an insane Eidolon? Is that not crazy? I mean, that's a 6, but is that not crazy? Holy fuck. But you can farm the character though. You know what I mean? You can get this just by playing the game. So it's not like, it's like, I mean, I guess people are just always gonna have an advantage over you with money. That's just how it is.
Strength. And defend that, you can just grind it for free, so there's no problems here.
Yeah.
That may be true, except you have to factor in the amount of time you have to spend to do it. And while everyone...
I mean, a lot of creators have brought up that point where instead of them... I was about to say some TOS stuff. Instead of them going after your wallet, they're going to go after your time, make you play their game more to earn all these characters. You just have to spend time. You're sacrificing your time instead of, like, you know, quickly. I mean, I just don't see a problem with that. I literally don't see a problem with that. You don't have the time, you spend.
And have that much time on their hands. This is of course not including all the other ways you can upgrade the character, and acquiring weapons also has a similar grinding system. I should also mention that the rate in which you get the secret letter clues is limited. While you still can farm these at a slower rate by manually farming, it's just another process you have to go through to get what you want. The lack of a stamina system is honestly a double-edged sword, if you ask me. In a normal gacha game, you'll press one button to spend your stamina to farm for all you can, then you're done for the day and you can spend your time doing other things. You do this every day or whenever you can. It's quick sessions of stimulus that expose you to just enough to form a habit and slow down your progression. From a player retention perspective, it works great and probably why the vast majority of mobile games have them. It will continue to have them in the foreseeable future. On the other hand, when you do the exact same thing over and over again for 3 hours, you're going to experience burnout. Even if you can fully complete the 6 dupe levels in like 2 hours, that's still going to be a lot of time for some people. Plus, given that dupes are drastic power increases, it can often feel that if you don't complete the farming for the dupes, the character feels incomplete. I imagine what will inevitably happen is that people will optimize the hell out of this game. Fastest farming routes, fastest teams to do mission types, fastest commission types to run. I tried to unlock a few characters and I was able to unlock a copy of Sybil in like 30 minutes.
Is that a fair take? Like, I don't know. To me, it just comes off as someone who's never played a game where you've had to grind before, where you've never played a Destiny 2, you've never played, you know, OG Destiny, you've never played like just games where you have to grind. You have to like really just grind to get what you want. First Descendant. So like I don't know. I just feel like that's kind of like a weird thing to call out. I'm not sure.
Now, since the covert commissions refresh every hour, this means you can wait until you see a mission type that's way shorter to complete. I think the best one out right now is the Dismantle mission type. You can basically zoom across the map and delete the 3 beacon points in less than a minute. I found this to be extremely efficient in farming the shard, and even though part of it does come down to luck, this is what I would do if I wanted to unlock a character fast. I couldn't care less about playing these levels. These are just the means to get what I want, and I want to get past this chore as fast as I can. Circling back to the topic of player retention, for anything that requires a concentrated amount of brain usage, you're gonna get exhausted both mentally and physically. Even though you know that the game is fun, you're also likely to mentally associate your exhaustion as a consequence of playing the game. If you take a look at numerous surveys, the average gaming session for a mobile user is around 5 minutes. Now you might argue, well, DNA is not a mobile game. Okay, well, did you know that the platform distribution for players in Genshin Impact, which many would agree to be the benchmark of the gacha industry, about 65% of players are on mobile. A large portion of the player base for these games are on their phones. You can see how we might be running.
He just brought up that stat as an argument to counter everyone there, but there's so much more nuance than that. But like he literally brought up that stat just to like counter the people in the comment section. That's really funny.
Running into a problem here. Mobile games are designed for quick bursts of playtime during your breaks or lunch. It was never meant to be played for prolonged periods. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, if you will. Whether or not DNA system will backfire is anyone's guess. Now you might be wondering, alright Genius, if you think both having stamina or not having it are bad ideas, then what do you suggest? Oh, I got a suggestion alright, but it's never going to be implemented. I propose that you just need to get rid of all the methods to upgrade a character. You don't need to farm materials to level or ascend them. You don't need to level or ascend weapons. Get rid of the Demon Wedge system. Get rid of leveling skills. When you get a character, you can passively level them from running stages, but
I will agree. Going around and collecting flowers to level a character, it's old. That needs to not be a thing ever again, for sure.
That's it. When you get a weapon, you already have it at the strongest point it can be. Your skills can be passively leveled or unlocked as a flat version that doesn't change. No RNG gear system as well. You can switch between different skill sets, but you don't need to grind for this. I think the only way you can solve the stamina issue is to just remove what you are using it for. Obviously, for mobile games that incentivize daily logins, this absolutely cannot happen. So my suggestion will just forever be that. I would also like to comment on the gacha list system as well. Despite not having a stamina system, you'll still be barred by the rate you can acquire them. This system is great if you have a lot of time to game and find the grind to be addicting. I'm sure there will be a crowd for it. I overall think this system is fine, just not that much of an improvement over a traditional gacha system. If you don't want to spend hours of your time on this though, the only alternative will be to pay up. But hey, a valid argument is that you won't have to risk random chances to save up for months just to not get what you want. If you put in the effort, you will get the character. However, there are people that think otherwise. This is gonna sound insane, but gambling is really fun. There are people out there that play gacha games precisely because of the thrill. Think about how good it felt to land that 5-star in a single pull, while the rest of the plebeians had to go to pity for the same thing. Now that certainly was a highlight. I'm one to think that the no gacha option is still better than having one, though I feel as if though DNA's approach may not be what some mobile gamers are looking for. So here's what I propose to be the true solution to the no gacha problem. You still have daily missions and events that give out the gacha tokens at a controlled rate. However, when you go into the gacha screen, instead of seeing the 1 or 10 pull option, you just see a single button. 10,000 gems to get this character. No gambling here. If you click the button, you will get it. There's no ambiguity or 50-50 rate up chances. We retain the casual nature of gacha games while getting rid of the gambling aspect. If there's a gacha game willing to go this route, that'd be something I praise all day. Overall, I think DNA systems—
Wait, but didn't you just say that like the whole gambling aspect is what certain people find like fun? And now you're saying if it's a guarantee, then it's not gambling. It's not a gamble if it's a guarantee, because you're gonna get it. Oh man, maybe that's just like bad wording. I don't know.
Are fine. I think it does things differently enough that people will be giving it a fair shot. It's just not what I believe to be objective improvements over what gacha games have had in the past. Of course, that doesn't exactly mean gacha is taken out of the game for good. DNA is using a cosmetics-focused monetization approach. While there are many deals in the game accessories and full outfits, the upper echelon of the cosmetics goes to these gacha skins. I suspect it's something like this would happen, since the game still has to make some money somehow. This means they're going to be a bit more stingy with the skins. As you can see, the rates are really not in your favor here, a 0.3% chance to land a premium cosmetic, and it's split into different rewards. Now, when a gacha gets transferred to a skin gacha, then the value of it becomes a lot more subjective. After all, how much would you be willing to pay for this? Some people absolutely don't care about skins. Some people play games because of them. Since the characters are farmable, this gives room for the developers to be as stingy as they want with the skins, and you really can't argue against it. If they wanted to make some $60 skins, some $200 skins, you know what I'm saying? Then they're kind of free to do so.
The shots of my goat Klukai and Girls Frontline 2.
You can bet that you won't be getting a lot of free pulls here. I would also like to point out that DNA is definitely not the first to have a skin gacha. There are numerous examples of older gachas that have had this approach. It just happens to be the first that's also a high budget release. Me personally, I don't have a problem with this, but that's mainly because I don't really care about cosmetics most of the time. There will be people that really want these skins, so the skin gacha really isn't something I can make a good objective judgment on. People often argue about what is considered as pay to win. How since it's just cosmetics, there's absolutely no paying involved. However, if your win condition is to have the coolest looking skins, well in that case, DNA will be paid to win, for you specifically. So we've talked about everything unique DNA has to offer, and I think the gacha list character system, lack of stamina, and the cosmetic space monetization are all mostly okay. I'm sure they will.
That's just subjective again. All right, let's see what his main critique is. This is the most replayed part of the video.
I mean, I understand that there's all sorts of tricks and maneuvers you can do, except for the week I played this game, I just spammed left click and felt I was never challenged. I feel like there's no synergy between a character's kit and how you can express them. The different moves you can do just feel like different variations of the same attack. Because of how you can only on-feel one character at a time, you can't do any elemental interactions or rotations with other characters in the party. I've also read in the reports on the movement not feeling as smooth, but I'm assuming this is fixable. What's something that you cannot change is the very nature of the gameplay. I thought maybe they would have done something different apart from the early beta launch, but now that the game is out, it almost makes me think that they've dedicated most of the resources to revamping the progression system and left the gameplay design as is. I mean, in my eyes, the gameplay is the beating heart of the game. I can put up with a stingier system if the gameplay is good, but if it's not fun, then even the most generous gacha system can't save you. Now, I normally don't comment on the nature of gameplay since it makes no sense for me to—
I said that in my video. I said if it's not fun, then, well, I mean, it's all subjective, right? I'm sure a lot of people are having a blast, but like, I said that as well in my video, where if it's not fun, then that grind's gonna feel like a chore and it's gonna feel very monotonous. But it, again, it's a lot of this video is rooted in subjectivity. A lot of it is. So it's very tough to take it as like a serious critique, because it's like everyone's gonna have a different perspective, you know? So yeah.
That a 3D brawler is better than tower defense. In this case though, in the context of an action brawler, I feel like DNA just doesn't have much for me to chew on. Now, maybe there's something I'm not getting, but during my time playing, I just wiped the floor on every stage just by spamming normal attacks on my ult ability. So I didn't see a reason to learn enemy attacks or adapt a different strategy. In other action brawlers, you have different team members meant to play their roles, and it's satisfying to pull off a tight rotation or see how your team comes together. Here though, everyone is just kind of expected to
Man, he showed Tribe 9. That game, EOS. That game was actually so good. I'm not gonna lie. That game was so good. For a gacha with no pity, right? I was able to acquire every single character before that shit EOS. Like it was actually a solid game. Very decent story too. Just released at such a bad time.
Damaged, and it's not exactly
one of the worst launches of all time.
How they do it. There's no opportunity for me to know that I'm doing something wrong. As long as you can maintain your character and weapon levels and get some decent demon wedges, you won't be in any danger most of the time. My guess is that eventually some of the endgame content will be harder and more centered around co-op teams with distinct roles during the fight. So you have more interactable elements with other players and how you all come together to contribute. I know some of the demon wedges change your playstyle quite drastically, with some even adjusting your movesets, though I never got too deep enough into the game to know if it truly matters that much. My own prediction is that the game will do well enough to garner and maintain a player base. I don't think it's going to reach the upper echelon of gacha gaming revenues, and I predict that not a lot of games will follow suit what DNA is doing. I'm sorry to say it, I highly respect Pan Studios' decision to remove the character gacha, but let's not kid ourselves. Skins are just not as profitable as trying to capture whales with dupes and signature weapons. The current models of traditional
whales can still, I mean, another game that EOS, whales can still they can still whale. They can still whale, so it is what it is.
Stamina and gacha systems work so well that I really think there's just no point of taking the risk of going the gacha skin route for a lot of developers. No, I don't think Duet Night Abyss will kill gacha games or reform them to a great extent. The impact of the divisions to go the gacha-less route and removing the stamina want to catch more gacha reviews and analysis like this, you know what to do. If you also want to
okay, I mean, a lot of it is, I understand this. I think I do understand this. I'm not gonna lie. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. If you're playing the game, how are you enjoying it? You know, if you're playing the game, my boy Bright Knight, he's got some content for you. Shout out to him. But yeah, I appreciate you guys. We have another video on the lineup for today as well. Double upload. I will catch you guys on the next one. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do you share the same sentiments? Was this guy on the mark? Was he way off? I'll see you in the next one.